All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. What's going on? It is your boy, your favorite host and MC, Ronell Blackman, and I am back here with the Holla Black podcast. Holla Black, where we believe that brave leaders have to be accountable to communicating knowledge, not only as we continue to learn knowledge, but also as we begin to share knowledge and as we then go back and get some more. So we learn it, we do it, and then we share it, and then go back and get some more. Once again, brave leaders that are accountable to communicating knowledge, having great conversations that will help us build community and build each other. Please make sure that you like, share, and comment at the Holla Black Podcast. Follow me at Ronell Blackman as well. That's Ronell, two N's, one L, Blackman, Blackmon, on all social platforms. Check us out on YouTube as we are right here showcasing not only what we're sharing today, but also all the many podcast episodes that we're going to be uploading and making sure that you get caught up and continue to be encouraged, continue to want and have a desire to be better today than you were yesterday. So, what we're going to talk about today is knowing your worth, knowing and recognizing that your worth is essential for both personal and professional successes, right? It shapes how you set boundaries, how you negotiate value, but also how you build meaningful relationships. Are you building meaningful relationships? Are you negotiating your proper value? Are you setting the proper boundaries that will allow for others to recognize and know your own worth as well? When I get to thinking of personal wealth, I think about the fact that, Tony Gaskins says, you teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and what you reinforce. Think about that. You are the educator to everyone else out there that's watching, that's trying to figure out, hey, how do I treat you? Right? How do I allow you? When do I know when to stop? Right? And when do I know when to reinforce, whether it be positive or negative things that go on? Again, Tony Gaskins, shout out to you. Also, I think about this quote that I heard, and it was hilarious because I'm always thinking about, different taxes. And as we're looking in a public eye, or should I say, and we're looking at, in a political eye in society, and we're thinking about tariffs and taxes and whatnot. But this quote says, know your worth and then add tax. Know your worth, then add tax. Everybody else is taxing. Why not you? Right? There's another quote that I wanted to share, and it really embodies, what I like to say, what I like to share, especially when I'm encouraging other people. And when I think about personal worth, I think about the fact that you are enough. You are enough exactly as you are. You don't need to be any more, right? Definitely don't need to be any less, but you don't need to be any more. You need to be exactly who you are because you are enough exactly as you are. But I will say, there is to whom much is given, much is required. There is a desire for you and us together to be more and to continue to grow. So that's from a personal perspective, just a couple quick quotes, but then also a few things that I would like to share is, from a business aspect or career worth conversation, is if you don't know your worth, someone will tell you and then they'll pay you less. Think about that. If you don't know your own worth, think about that through so many different experiences that I've had when negotiating my salary, when negotiating different contracts and whatnot. It's like if I don't know my worth, someone else will tell me exactly how much I'm worth. And then guess what? They'll even haggle me, negotiate, or try to pay me less, which is crazy to me. Right. So know your worth professionally, but also think about this as well. A lot of people out there, they don't get what they actually deserve, they get what they negotiate. Are you negotiating on the betterment or for the betterment of yourself? Are you I love the idea or the thought process of the person that cares the most always, kind of gets less, right? They're the one in the negotiation aspect that loses. Because when you're, kind of thinking about, hey, I want this so badly, you're willing to pay and you're willing to do anything in order to get it, right? So ultimately, sometimes you end up paying more. But then oftentimes as well, when you're thinking, well, I only deserve this, right? Well, that's all you're going to receive is what you believe that you deserve. So again, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. And then the last bit that I am going to, share, or should I say, quote, that I should give with you all is confidence is silent, insecurity is loud. Let me say that again. Confidence is silent. Insecurity is loud. When you have a person that's just loud, boisterous, that's just always talking and not really saying a lot about anything, like that shows a little bit of insecurity. When they're screaming, when they hit that high pitch, when they're, arguing, right? Like that's a person that's showing a bit of insecurity. But when a person is confident, you don't have to say a word. They just allow for whatever confrontation, whatever disagreement, whatever is going on, they allow it to just, hey, you handle that. You handle you. I'm confident in my price point. I'm confident in my abilities. I'm confident in not only my product, but also the service that I can provide. So I'll be silent. I just want to know, like, do any of those resonate with you? Go ahead and drop some comments. Go ahead and, respond, share. And I would love to hear more about what the community is thinking about just self-worth, right? When it's personal or professional, right? So let's dive in a little bit into a little bit more, should I say, into the personal worth side of things. Your personal worth is your intrinsic value. Let me say that again. Your personal worth is your intrinsic value, who you are beyond the titles, the roles, or even the achievements. It comes from these four areas. These four areas are very key. These four areas are very important. So I want to make sure that I hit the nail on the head when talking or discussing or even, sharing these four areas of achievements, of awards, or should I say of intrinsic value. This is, ladies and gentlemen, four areas of your personal worth. Starts off right here. Self-awareness. Are you aware? Are you aware of the individual that you are? Are you understanding and taking assessments to know and recognize what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what your values are, and your passions? I think back to a company that I had a great opportunity to work with for some years that always focused on, hey, we understand everyone has weaknesses. We understand everyone has, some things that they're working on, but let's figure out what your strengths are. Let's recognize what your values are. Let's recognize also, if your passions align with our passions. In that manner, that self-awareness aspect, we can move with that. We can move the needle. We can move forward together and we can actually build a very strong team. Again, number one, self-awareness, recognizing just exactly what your strengths are. Are you a person that speaks well? Are you a person that takes notes well? Are you a person that collects all the information and can put them and file them in the proper order that they need to be? Like, think about it from a team perspective. I'm going to go to basketball. Think about it. A point guard has a role. A shooting guard has a role. I talk about this all the time. Difference between Michael Jordan and LeBron James is the fact that Michael Jordan was a shooting guard. His job, his number one job was to shoot. Everybody's, oh, LeBron is a pass first player and he can't be the GOAT. He can't be great because he's pass first. Well, that's not his job is not to shoot. He is not only a shooting guard, he has strengths beyond just shooting, right? So if you want to say the greatest shooter in the world, I would even say that you might want to talk about Steph Curry. You might want to talk about some other phenomenal shooters that have been in the past that actually the stats will show that they are great shooters, right? Having that self-awareness again, right? I'm thinking about from, the personal aspect. If I'm thinking about, a conversation with me and my friend group, right? Or me and my wife, or me and, any of my loved ones, I got to recognize what are my strengths in these conversations? What are my weaknesses? Am I just a speaker or do I listen as well? Am I a leader in the conversation, or am I one that's learning, that's grasping, that's growing off of the words that are being spoken to me? But then again, am I speaking to someone that our values don't align? Our passions aren't the same. Am I one that wants more where another individual that I may be having a conversation with may be completely fine where they are? That's the choice, right? Those are the differences between us all. And what we have to do is we have to recognize and assess, just who we are, whose we are, and what ways that we personally tick, right? So again, understanding your strengths, weaknesses, values, and your passions. I want to also go to number 2, confidence and self-respect. Do you have the confidence to say it with your chest, right? Knowing what you bring to the table and not settling for anything less. I think a lot of times we have a false sense of confidence, and we believe that maybe even we bring more to the table than we do. And us settling for less is settling for something that's outside of our scope, when recognizably, or if we took a proper, if we were better self aware, if we took a proper assessment, we would recognize that settling for less might just mean we aren't settling for two or another thing that's outside of our values. We're not settling for something that's outside of our passions. We're not settling for, a person that has a lot of strengths or a person that has weaknesses, right? We got to recognize that everyone has their own bag of trauma, their own drama as well, right? So we got to recognize the fact that be confident in not only who you are, but again, knowing what you bring to the table and knowing that you deserve the absolute best. And especially if you're not quite there, but you're looking to get somewhere, who can you bring along with you that can help you to be the person and grow to the individual that you seek to be? I think about the self respect, loving yourself, knowing yourself, right? Recognizing that, hey, if I don't love myself, I can't love others. I mean, we talked about that just a couple weeks ago when we're discussing, the importance of self care, the importance of self love, like just respecting yourself enough to be able to put up those boundaries, to be able to know and understand not only who we are, but what we're able to stand for and what we will, or should I say won't stand for when it comes to, how we'll be treated or how we'll be looked at. I like the fact that in a couple of my conversations with some folks, we talked about, how people see you, or no, let me back up. How you show yourself is how people see you. How people see you is how they treat you. And how they treat you enables them to value you. So you got to think about the fact that, like, how are you showing up? Right? Are you presenting yourself well? But then also with the presentation of yourself, how are others viewing you? Right? Like, not to be a people pleaser, but also to recognize that, hey, I'm showing up as my best self. Right. So that's number 2 that we're going to that we talked about, or should I say, personal worth is being shown in, is the confidence and self-respect aspect. Are you walking into rooms and feeling and allowing for others to feel the fact that you are confident in the way that you speak, the way that you hold yourself, the way that you conduct yourself? I think about this third thing, boundaries. Now, boundaries are something that I know a lot of us struggle with. I know I personally struggle with boundaries. I personally struggle with it just because, all the trauma and the drama that I've had in my past where, I haven't been able to protect my time, right? Haven't been able to protect my energy. And oftentimes felt very negative if I was protecting my own emotional well being. Like, I mean, type amen in the chat, or, kind of let me know, like, send me a message. I want to hear from you. Like, have you been guilty of allowing your boundaries to not be as sturdy, to not be as strong as they needed to be? Or have you recognized that since providing boundaries, that you've allowed for yourself to have so much more peace? You've allowed for others to know which lines not to cross. I mean, think about it. When it comes to your time, there's nothing else more precious than your time. So protecting it has to be number one. You have to make sure because when your time runs out, your time is gone. You're gone. Everything else and everyone else is going to continue to move on. I mean, that's the sad thing about, having loved ones that pass, right? It's recognizing the fact that you no longer have the time that you did have with them. You no longer have that time. And without having that time, it now puts you in a position to where you you feel guilty about the wasted time. You feel guilty about, not doing the things that maybe you wanted to do, maybe not checking off those bucket list items, right? These are all things that boundaries allow for us to protect. It allows for us to protect that time. Think about energy. Oftentimes, I've seen some different folks and I've heard of some different people that have allowed for, others to just drain them, to take their energy, to take them from a happy and peaceful and, joyous space to now maybe not so much, recognizing that my personal worth is so much more than me allowing you to take or zap or remove the positive energy that I have when I'm waking up. Kids will do it to you. I'm a, I'm gonna speak from some honesty right here, right? Your kids will take you from being happy, joyous to, oh my gosh, they won't listen. Oh my goodness. Like, why won't they stop doing whatever annoying thing? Right. And just take you down a complete path. But you have to be, in a sense, the temperature setting, right? You got to be that temperature gauge versus the thermometer. You can't move based upon what the temperature is around you. You have to set the tone. And with you setting the tone, it allows for you to, again, establish those boundaries and establish that emotional well being that you need in order to continue to take care of your very own person, your worth, right? Because you're worth more than that. And you got to believe that. I mean, hear me. If you don't believe it, hear me say it over and over. You are worth it. You're worth it, right? Like you are worth any and everything that God has for you, any and everything that the world has for you. I mean, you are worth success. You are worth wealth. You are worth prosperity. You are worth peace. Think about that. Like you are worth peace. And if you don't recognize that, if you don't understand that, then you're wasting nothing but time on so many other things. You got to bring up those boundaries and you got to recognize that, hey, I will not allow for things to interact, or should I say, steal my joy, right? I will not allow for things to get in the way of my mission, of the thing that I have to complete, that I've been put on this earth to do, first and foremost. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about, or I would like to share, is that growth mindset. This right here, when I talk about personal worth, I think about the fact that, and I said it earlier in the beginning in the intro about being a brave leader that's accountable to communicating knowledge. Like you got to be accountable to constant learning. I mean, consistency is key, right? Constant learning is the way that we enable ourselves to evolve and stay aligned with being our best self. I think about the fact that, a lot of times we're not motivated, we're not encouraged, or we're not excited to do certain things. But as long as we stay constant, as long as we stay consistent, we will grow. It's kind of that phrase, either grow or die. Like from a plant's perspective, if you're not growing, you're dying. From a life perspective, you got to look at yourself in the same way. If I'm not growing, I'm dying, I'm decaying, right? That's why I think about people that, get into this excitement about moving towards retirement. I understand it. Like you don't want to have to work, right? But you should want to work and you should want to do the things. I love this quote by the great debaters. Denzel Washington gave this. He said, "We do what we have to do in order to do what we want to do." Retirement should look like you doing what you want to do, not just vegging out. Yeah, okay, we'll travel, we'll do this. Create a different career out of that thing, right? Create something that constantly has you learning about something new keeps your mind sharp, allows for you to continue to become better each and every single day. Like I said at the beginning as well, better today than we were yesterday, right? We need to evolve, we need to stay aligned, and we need to become our absolute best self. Like with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you kind of take this episode right here, and we'll dive into the next episode and talk about business worth. But I just wanted to just kind of land on personal worth for a moment, because I think personally, we oftentimes neglect the areas and recognize the fact that we have value, that we hold value. And that value goes far beyond the roles that we play within our family, the titles that we have. Let's stop being entitled. Let's stop being entitled with the fact that I'm mommy, I'm daddy, a cousin, I'm aunt, I'm uncle, I'm grandfather, grandmother, I'm a friend. Let's get away from the titles and recognize the fact that you're a person, you're a human, you're a being that needs, right? Others, but others need you as well, right? And understanding your personal worth will allow for you to give, but then also receive the blessings, the gifts, the success that you need and that you ultimately deserve. Ultimately, that's been promised and delivered and again given to you. Let's be authentic. Let's think about the fact that us assessing how our personal worth can allow for us to reach the level of success that we want. Ladies and gentlemen, let's elevate. Let's take it to the next level. Let's get further and further towards our goals. And I'm looking for more people to comment. I'm looking for more people to share. And I'm looking for you to be the absolute best version of yourself. At the end of the day, that's it. That's it. Just be the best version of you. And if you can do that, then ladies and gentlemen, you can control your personal worth and you can actually show forth and learn more about the level and how valuable you absolutely are. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, again, we close with another episode of the Holla Black podcast. Again, I'm encouraging you to be a brave leader that's accountable to communicating knowledge, one conversation at a time. Let's build community through these conversations. Let's talk about personal worth. And I'm going to come back on the go round and we're going to talk about some business worth on the next episode. Holla Black at your boy. It's your favorite host and MC, Ronell Blackman. Peace.